I'm so happy you asked about this because this is one of my new themes and something I'm going to be doing in the next 5 years is trying to prepare psychology for what I think is inevitable. There's a couple trends in psychology and in academia in general that I think are absolutely forcing teaching to change. One is there's starting to get to be more data on lecturing not being the most effective method. What happens is students don't hear a lot of what you say, they don't remember it. It's a very ineffective information transfer. You can transfer enthusiasm, you can transfer examples, but not so effective the way it's normally done. 200 people sitting there quietly and listening to you. So that's the first thing. The second thing is the enormous expense of college education. It's like medical, it's becoming crushing. And a lot of these young people are paying $40,000, $50,000 a year to go to the university. Well, if you have 2 kids, it's $500,000 to send the 2 of them to college. So this is a force that society's reckoning with, and I think that what we're going to see is it's going to force some changes in academia. The third one is that we have lecturers all over the world, thousands of them, giving lectures that are basically the same lecture. In social psych, they're giving one on social influence, on social comparison, on close relationships. And you say, oh, no, I make my special and different. Well, maybe you do, but mostly the material is the same. So I think what's going to happen more and more is for standard lectures, we are going to have master lecturers doing really high quality video lectures that can be streamed, and the students will watch those on their own time. On the textbook side, I also see a revolution coming about. And the revolution is textbooks have gone out of control in terms of costs. Parents are complaining. The publishers are forcing you to buy new textbooks by revising them every 2 years, even though there's only a little bit of new data every 2 years to put in the textbook. And what's going to happen is me and other people are going to start putting textbook-like modules on the internet, and those will take the place, and they'll be either cheap or free, and old-time textbooks are going to go out. What does that mean about teaching? What that means is that the standard lecture that you are is going to become rarer. The standard textbook is going to be on the internet, and students can download it or read it on the internet. What's your role going to be? Your role is going to be something that you probably should have been doing before, but our classes were too big, and that is getting students actively involved with the material. Because what we do know is that if you get involved with the material, you really learn it. How do you really learn social psych? You teach it, because now you have to organize it in your mind and really use it and understand it. And so much of what we learn at the university or college is forgotten. And if you think back about your undergrad classes, right, you still remember something about geology, but probably you've forgotten 80% of it. And so what we have to do is get students to use the material. What does that mean? That means actively engage with it by thinking about it, by having to use it physically, by understanding things in their own life and using the material to understand them. So in class, for example, now, instead of giving our standard lectures, we're going to revert to the days of discussion in small classes, but also in large classes where there's active engagement, where you apply things to yourself. You may have a response key, you may have clickers, may do different kinds of exercises, more out-of-class use of information like tracking your own life and understanding it. Do you do social comparison? Would be a way to see how social comparison works and who are you comparing with. If you're studying moods and emotions, tracking your own emotions and so forth, there's going to just be sort of more involvement. One of the things that happens in the U.S. is grad schools are absolutely probably the best in the world. Why? Because grad students are actively involved with their professors, they're actively involved with research and teaching, they're using the material, and boy do they learn a lot. But I think what we're starting to understand is that although our undergrad was the best in the world for a long time. Now we've come to the ceiling, and we're really to the point where it needs to be changed because of expensiveness and because it's not as effective as it could be. So the internet is going to help us with the videos and the textbook material, and then we have to become more clever in terms of ingenuity of involving our students. So my wife would teach a class about, say, community psych. You had to go out in the community and do things, right? And you come back and discuss them, and you have projects in the community you have to do, and so now all of a sudden you're using the material. It's far different. And those students who had that kind of experience also have an advantage in the applied job market when they go out. So this is the kind of education we're going to have to become expert at. Look at your strengths. What is it that you're good at? Not everybody's funny, but some people are very empathic and can communicate emotion. Some people are extremely organized. And so I've had students who are pretty good teachers who aren't funny, and they're not dynamic, but they're extremely organized and extremely clear. So if you can, of course, you try to overcome some of your weaknesses and try to be a little bit funnier, but you can also emphasize your strengths and understanding yourself. And when you do that, then you also know what kind of teaching you're going to like. Now, one of the things that I say to grad students is, in a lot of research universities, there's a lot of pressure to become a researcher, at least implicit pressure, because the people there are researchers and they think it's the best thing, and so they sort of think the people who are researchers are the best students. And I just want to tell you that it's also very rewarding for some people to be at a teaching school. I've gone around and given talks at small teaching school where only a teeny bit of research goes on, and I found some extremely happy faculty at some of those places. So finding out who you are and what it is you like, and you don't have to either please your professors or your parents as much as you better find out what you're good at and what you're going to like doing, and then follow that career path. And it doesn't have to be the high prestige going to Harvard. It may be going to the small school that's right for you.